It was very, very tough for me to play bad. I feel like I let people down, let myself down, especially when I kind of gave the I don't care attitude. And I was upset that we got a divorce and all that. So I beat up a hotel room. And how I got called a wife beater and all this, was the damnedest thing. Apparently Betty had said something that I might have pushed her or touched her hair, but everybody saw what I did. There were so many witnesses there.
He was a fan favorite on the PGA Tour, the guy who made golf feel less like a country club sport and more like something everyone could love. But behind the scenes, his ex-wife just revealed claims so wild they turned courtrooms into battlefields and made people question everything they thought they knew about him. We're talking about John Daly, and when his fourth ex-wife, Sherrie Miller, wrote her memoir and launched a legal war, she didn't hold back. She accused him of bizarre affairs that went way beyond normal cheating, claimed his behavior made Tiger Woods look like a saint, and detailed alleged encounters at specific holes on golf courses that sound more like urban legends than reality. This isn't just gossip. This story includes police reports, federal prison time, revenge tactics involving stolen phones, and a lawsuit so strange it involved arguments about what happened on a tour bus, with Barry White music playing in the background. If you're into stories where the truth gets messy and nothing is simple, hit the hype button and give this video some hype. It helps a ton. Now listen to what she claimed happened next, and how this whole thing spiraled into chaos nobody could have predicted. To understand how explosive these revelations were, you need to know who John Daly was in the public eye first. He wasn't your typical golfer. He was the wild thing, the guy with the mullet and the grip it and rip it mentality who made golf exciting for people who never cared about the sport. But underneath that everyman image was a documented pattern of problems. His PGA Tour disciplinary file eventually grew to 456 pages. That's not a typo. It included everything from hitting balls over the heads of spectators, to trashing hotel rooms during major championships, to multiple suspensions for conduct that crossed the line. He openly admitted to losing over $50 million gambling, and he went to alcohol rehab 7 times. The public loved him anyway because he never pretended to be perfect. He was chaos in human form, and people found that refreshing compared to the polished corporate athletes dominating other sports. That's the key to understanding why Sherrie Miller's claims didn't destroy him the way similar scandals destroyed others. When you're already known as a mess, new mess just feels like more of the same. Sherrie Miller wasn't some random person who got caught up in his world by accident. She had her own complicated background that made this story even messier. They met at the FedEx St. Jude Classic in Memphis back in 2001, and just 53 days later, they were married. That timeline alone should have been a red flag. But when two people operate on impulse and intensity, rational decisions go out the window fast. What made things worse was that Sherrie brought serious legal baggage into the marriage. In 2003, just days after she gave birth to their son, she and her parents were hit with a federal indictment. The charges were tied to allegations of involvement in a drug ring and illegal gambling operation, and Sherrie specifically was charged with money laundering because she allegedly structured financial deposits to avoid federal reporting requirements. She eventually pleaded guilty and served 5 months in federal prison, followed by 5 months of house arrest. This criminal history became a weapon later. Every time she made accusations against Daly, his defense team used her conviction to paint her as dishonest and untrustworthy. She tried to flip the script by saying prison gave her peace and resilience that prepared her for what she claimed was his abuse. But the damage to her credibility was already done. You had a famous addict married to a convicted felon, both living in the high-pressure world of professional golf where money, fame, and temptation were everywhere. The claim that turned this from a messy divorce into a cultural moment was when Sherrie said Daly's off-course behavior and his exploits would make Tiger Woods look like a saint. Think about what that means. In late 2009 and 2010, the world found out Tiger Woods, the most disciplined and marketable athlete in golf, had been living a secret life with over a dozen mistresses, including porn stars and nightclub workers. His squeaky clean image was destroyed, his marriage ended, and he lost millions in endorsements. It was one of the biggest scandals in sports history. So when Sherrie compared Daly to Woods, she wasn't just saying he cheated. She was saying the volume, the nature, and the boldness of what Daly allegedly did made Tiger's mess look tame by comparison. She was implying Daly's partners numbered way more than the 12 to 15 women linked to Woods, that the encounters were more sordid and possibly involved money-changing hands, and that the golf establishment protected Daly because he was seen as a character while Woods got torn apart because he was a corporate icon. It was a calculated move to anchor her story to the biggest scandal golf had ever seen, guaranteeing her memoir would get attention. The irony is that the comparison didn't hurt Daly the way she hoped, because he had never sold himself as a saint. Woods fell from grace because the contrast between his image and his actions was so stark. Daly's whole brand was being a disaster, so new disasters just got absorbed into the legend. Then came the allegation that sounds almost too specific to be made up, but also too wild to fully believe. Sherrie claimed she had been told by multiple sources, including men in Memphis and even her banker, that during tournaments at TPC Southwind, women were positioned in bushes near the 16th hole to offer sexual favors to golfers for money. She specifically mentioned oral sex for a fee, turning what should be a prestigious PGA Tour event into something that sounded more like an organized operation. The 16th hole at Southwind is a par 5 that plays over 500 yards, and during actual tournament rounds is surrounded by hospitality tents, marshals, TV cameras, and thousands of fans. The idea that a golfer could duck into the bushes mid-round without being photographed or noticed by the crowd seems nearly impossible. But the term 16th hole might not mean the actual playing of the hole. It could refer to the hospitality suites near that part of the course where VIPs and players mingle, or it could mean practice rounds on Tuesday and Wednesday when the atmosphere is way more relaxed and there are no TV cameras everywhere. There's also the broader groupie culture in professional sports, and Sherrie's claim suggests Memphis specifically had a subculture of women who targeted golfers, and that this was an open secret among local insiders. The fact she mentioned her banker as a source makes it sound like people in positions of trust were casually aware of this world existing. Whether it happened exactly as she described, or whether it's exaggerated folklore is hard to say, because there are no police reports or official tour sanctions backing it up. But the allegation endures as a dark piece of the Daly era. The moment the public really picked a side happened on June 8, 2007, during the Stanford St. Jude Championship at TPC Southwind. After a rain delay, John Daly showed up to the course with fresh, visible scratches all over his face. He told reporters and tour officials that Sherrie had attacked him with a steak knife while he was sleeping. He said he woke up to a knife coming at him and had to physically restrain her to avoid serious injury. Police were called to their home, but Daly initially decided not to press charges, even though he filed a complaint. He played his round of golf with the scratches on full display, and the image of the gentle giant being victimized by a violent, unstable wife became the dominant narrative. People felt sympathy for him. He looked like the victim. But years later, Sherrie told a completely different version. She claimed Daly gave himself those scratches to control the story and turned public opinion against her before divorce proceedings even started. She argued he needed a reason to force her out of the house and the marriage without losing his assets or custody of their son. So he staged the assault to make her look dangerous. It's a Machiavellian level of manipulation if true, but there's a major problem with her version. In 2015, Sherrie was arrested for attacking a different boyfriend, attorney Arthur Horn, with a golf club. She broke into his home by shattering a glass door and went after him with the club. That arrest established a pattern of her using sporting equipment and weapons in domestic disputes, which gives weight to Daly's original 2007 claim. The truth about the steak knife incident is probably buried somewhere between their two stories, but the fact that both of them have records of chaotic, violent behavior makes it impossible to declare one version the definitive truth. After their divorce was finalized in 2010, Sherrie Miller didn't just walk away. She launched a legal attack that became a case study in obscure American law. She sued Daly's new fiancée, Anna Kladakis, using something called alienation of affection. It's an old tort that lets a spouse sue a third party for willfully interfering with the marriage and stealing the love and affection of their partner. Most states got rid of this law decades ago because it treats marriage like property, but Mississippi is one of the few places that still allows it. Here's the twist. Sherrie lived in Tennessee, Daly lived in Tennessee, and Anna Kladakis lived in Florida. None of them were residents of Mississippi, so how did Sherrie get the case filed there? She used a legal strategy called forum shopping, picking the court that gave her the best chance to win. Her legal team filed in DeSoto County, Mississippi, just across the state line from Memphis, and their argument for jurisdiction was shockingly explicit. They claimed the sexual encounters that destroyed the marriage happened inside Mississippi, specifically on Daly's luxury tour bus while it was parked in the state. The lawsuit even included details about the atmosphere, saying the encounters happened with Barry White-style music playing. The argument was that if the affair happened in Mississippi, then the legal injury happened in Mississippi, giving the state the right to hear the case. A trial judge initially dismissed the lawsuit in 2012, agreeing with Kladakis that dragging a Florida resident to Mississippi court over an affair involving Tennessee people violated due process. But in 2014, the Mississippi Court of Appeals reversed that decision in a surprising 7-2 ruling. They said if Sherrie could prove the sexual activity occurred in Mississippi and contributed to the breakup, then the tort was committed in the state and jurisdiction was valid. Kladakis appealed all the way up, even petitioning the U.S. Supreme Court, but the High Court declined to hear it. Sherrie also tried to bring Hooters into the lawsuit because Anna Kladakis worked as a promotional director for the company, and Hooters was one of Daly's major sponsors. Sherrie argued that keeping the star golfer happy was part of Anna's job, so the affair happened within the scope of her employment, which would make Hooters liable. The courts weren't buying it. They dismissed Hooters from the case, ruling that even if the relationship was professionally convenient, engaging in an affair is a personal choice, not a corporate duty. Despite winning the right to sue and keeping the case alive through multiple appeals, there's no public record of Sherrie securing a massive multi-million-dollar verdict. By 2017, the case seems to have faded away, probably ending in a quiet settlement or dismissal as Sherrie's own legal troubles started piling up again. While the lawsuit was grinding through the courts, Sherrie was also waging a different kind of war. She engaged in what can only be described as digital revenge, targeting women she believed had slept with Daly or later with other men in her life. In one incident detailed in police reports, she confiscated a woman's phone after suspecting an affair. She found sexually explicit photos on the device, and instead of just confronting the woman, Sherrie sent those explicit photos to the woman's family members and her employer. It was designed to cause maximum damage, destroying the woman's personal and professional life in one move. Sherrie also reportedly threatened to post explicit pictures online and followed through on at least one occasion involving a Mid-South middle school teacher caught in a love triangle. Investigators said she found the pictures and made good on her threat to share them publicly. This pattern of surveillance, confiscation, and public humiliation painted Sherrie as a vindictive aggressor, which complicated her victim narrative in the alienation of affection case. The paths John Daly and Sherrie Miller took after the divorce couldn't be more different. Daly managed to stabilize, at least in comparison to his earlier chaos. His relationship with Anna Kladakis proved durable, and they've been engaged since 2014. He successfully transitioned to the PGA Tour champions and continued to monetize his Wild Thing brand, selling merchandise and maintaining sponsorships, despite behavior that would have ended most careers. He leaned into his persona instead of running from it, and it worked because he never pretended to be something he wasn't. Sherrie, on the other hand, spiraled. The 2015 arrest for attacking Arthur Horn with a golf club after breaking into his home was a grim echo of the steak knife incident. She was charged with aggravated assault and burglary, proving that violence was a pattern in her relationships, not a one-time reaction to Daly. She also effectively lost the custody battle for their son, John Daly II, who is now a Division I collegiate golfer. Court records show she was frequently held in contempt for interfering with visitation and failing to follow court orders. This saga isn't a story with a clear hero or villain. It's a story about two people whose worst traits fed off each other until everything exploded into public view. Sherrie Miller's revelations probably contain pieces of real truth about the wild nature of John Daly's life and the permissive culture of the PGA Tour during that era. Her comparison to Tiger Woods was sharp and probably accurate in terms of volume and brazenness, but it failed because Daly's brand was built on being a disaster. Woods was a fallen angel. Daly was a demon who never had wings to begin with. Talent doesn't cancel out choices, and fame doesn't heal addiction or fix broken people. Court fights don't bring peace, they just drag pain into the public and turn private dysfunction into spectacle. The real tragedy is the collateral damage. The son caught in the middle, the other people pulled into their chaos, and the years wasted on revenge instead of recovery. Maybe the lesson here is that when two people are operating from a place of impulse, addiction, and anger, the only outcome is wreckage. Let's hope everyone involved, especially their son, finds the stability and peace that eluded this marriage from the very first day.